Welcome, degenerates, to Place Your Bets. I'm Tyler James. He's the one and only Eric Hansen. We cover Notre Dame football, recruiting, and more for InsideNDSports.com on the Rivals Network. And we love to make Notre Dame football prop bets for bragging rights. There was actual cheering in the press box this past weekend in the Boston College game, as Eric and I were both cheering on Boston College's last running play, which lost 6 yards, and that allowed us to hit our under predictions for the rushing total. Unfortunately, Eric, that was one of your rare wins for the weekend. You didn't fare as well in your other prop bets. And
You enjoy telling me that.
Yeah, that's right. I was on target with all of the prop bets last week, other than the catch total for Lindsey and Styles, which none of us were on target because neither of them had a catch. So neither of them could have more than one or the other. Eric, you fell short on the Drew Pine touchdown total prediction and the Zay Flowers catch total prediction. So I'd like to thank the poor weather from giving me the assist on that one. With this successful week, I have jumped into first place with the Insider Lounge. We are very close here in these season standings. I think we're going to have to come up with a potential tiebreaker because my intention was to end this after the bowl game with our game results to see if we can crown a champion. What do you think we should do for a tiebreaker, Eric?
Well, it depends on what the prize is for winning.
I don't know that there is any prize, just pride.
I think we could do some kind of recruiting questionnaire.
Okay.
Recruiting prop bets.
That's not a bad idea. And we'll see which one of us gets better information from our recruiting reporter, Kyle Kelly.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's get to our prop bets for Notre Dame's regular season finale at USC. The first one I have for us, Eric, is over under 305 passing yards for USC quarterback Caleb Williams.
Well, he's been over that total 8 times out of 11 games this year. Notre Dame, the most they've given up is 301. That was to C.J. Stroud in the opener, and nobody's been really close to that other than the Stanford game, and they ran 81 plays in that game, and they were at 288. So, Notre Dame hasn't given up more than 400 yards in total offense. I don't think USC is going to have a lot of rushing yards, so I think they're going to have to get it through the air, and I'm going to say that slightly higher, so a little bit over for Caleb Williams and the 305.5 yards.
I waffled back and forth on this for quite some time. I'm going to go with the under. I do think USC will have success throwing the ball and will have some big plays, but I'm not sure that it will sort of just constantly be able to move the ball with the passing game. So I think Notre Dame will be able to have a chance with keeping Caleb Williams under that number. I think he will probably have a decent game scrambling. And I think that Notre Dame will also have a decent amount of force USC into 3 and outs. And so that'll help Notre Dame keep Caleb Williams under 305 passing yards for the game.
Okay.
All right, next one. Will Notre Dame intercept a pass?
Well, he's had 3 all year, 1 in each of the last 2 games. Notre Dame, I think, had 1 in their first 7 games. They've had 8 over the last 4. I'm going to say that they get an interception because Notre Dame's pass rush is better than what USC has seen this year. So put me down for the interception.
All right, I am going with no. So this is gonna be an important week for our standings because we're going opposite each other. I just think that Caleb Williams protects the football well enough. He's probably smart enough to not challenge Benjamin Morrison too often. I would be looking at Notre Dame's other cornerbacks when I'm throwing the football. So I think he will be able to avoid throwing interception. I think Notre Dame's big play in terms of, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be a turnover, but I think there's going to be a big special teams play in Notre Dame's favor because I think Notre Dame has a pretty clear advantage in that. So I'm counting on that happening rather than Notre Dame intercepting a pass.
Believe it or not, Tyler, I've already had a dream that Notre Dame blocked 2 punts in this game.
All right. Well, but we'll see if you're prophetic there. Next one we have is over under 43% third down conversion rate for Notre Dame's offense.
Well, Notre Dame was really bad in third downs at the beginning of the year, and then they weren't very good in the Stanford game. But every other game that they played this year, they've been over 40%. USC is a bad third down defense. They do rush the passer very well, but they take a lot of chances. So I'm saying that Notre Dame is going to be slightly over that figure. I think they're going to get to around 50.
All right, finally something we agree on. I'm going over as well. I think Notre Dame will have some third and short situations that will help them in terms of their conversion rate. And I just think that USC's defense is just not good enough to prevent Notre Dame from converting some of those third downs, even if it's asking a lot of Notre Dame's offense to do that. So I think that will be one place that Notre Dame will have success offensively, and probably not the only place that Notre Dame has success offensively. All right, next one. More catches, Notre Dame tight end Michael Mayer or USC wide receiver Jordan Addison?
It's really a difficult one because Addison's been a little bit hard to track. He missed a couple of games fairly recently. The game before UCLA, I think it was Colorado, he only had 1 catch for 2 yards, and then he had 11 catches against UCLA. Michael Mayer and Jordan Addison's stats are pretty comparable. The thing that, boy, I really wrestled with this one because, well, Dalton Kincaid for Utah is their tight end, and he had 16 catches for 243 yards. So that's what kind of gives me pause. I mean, he's been a good tight end all year, and he had 11 catches against Oregon, but he has had nothing like that. If I'm USC's defensive coordinator, and I don't know whether to call him Alex Grinch or Alex Grinch, but I don't think he's going to be stingy like the Grinch. But I do think, what would I want to take away in Notre Dame's offense? And I would devote everything I could to Michael Mayer, and I would take my chances with their wide receivers. So I'm going to say Jordan Addison. And I think USC is going to be able to move Addison around enough in the formation that he's not always matched up with Morrison or Bracey. They're going to try to get him on Clarence Lewis or Jaden Mickey as much as they can.
Yeah, I'm going the other way with Mayer. I think Notre Dame will do things similarly in moving him around and getting him in different situations to do that. I mean, Michael Mayer has been the focus of every defense that Notre Dame has played this season. Anyone that has a brain knows that, hey, we got to stop him. And not every defense has been able to do that. Now, he hasn't had a ton of game. I mean, he hasn't had a game like Dalton Kincaid had against USC. His best game was the BYU game, and everyone knew Michael Mayer was getting the ball even on third downs, and BYU couldn't do anything about it. So I do think that Notre Dame will have success throwing the ball to Michael Mayer. I think in a game,
I think they're both going to have good games.
Right. I would think so
London
too.
Game last year just keeps flashing in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I also I like what Notre Dame has done against the Biletnikoff Award semifinalists that they faced this year. I mean, none of them have had more than 5 catches, I believe. And none of them have had much more than 50 or 60 yards. That's Marvin Harrison.
They got injured, Jack Smith Najigba.
Right, but Marvin Harrison has sort of supplanted him as Ohio State's #1 receiver, and he didn't have. I mean, he did fine that game, but he didn't have a great game. Josh Downs had 2 touchdown catches, but he didn't impact the game much beyond those plays in terms of receptions. And then last week against Zay Flowers, like we mentioned, certainly the snow played a role in that. So,
well, it's the least confident one that I'm is that one. I wrestled with that one the most.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm the most thing that makes me most nervous is how did Navy stop Michael Mayer? That is concerning, but I think that's partially just because Notre Dame was able to have passing success outside of him. And I don't know that Notre Dame will have a ton of passing success outside of Michael Mayer in this game. So that leads me back to Michael Mayer having more catches than Jordan Addison.
Okay.
All right. Next one, over under 90.5 rushing yards for Logan Diggs.
I think Notre Dame's going to be at or above 200 rushing yards in this game. And if that's the case, Logan Diggs is going to have at least half of those. I think Estime could have a really good game too. They seem to be moving away a little bit more from Chris Tyree, at least as far as running the ball with a lot of carries. So put me down for over on Logan Diggs.
Yeah, we're in agreement there. I think Notre Dame's going to be able to run the ball. I think that USC doesn't defend the run well in almost all instances, but I don't think that they're particularly good on the outside either. And I think Logan Diggs is the better of the two between him and Audric Estime at sort of exposing that. Maybe that leads to some opportunities for Chris Tyree as well. But I just think Logan Diggs has played so well in the latter half of the season that Notre Dame's going to continue to ride him and Audric Estime. They're a good 1-2 punch. And if Notre Dame's going to be competitive and win this game, Logan Diggs and Audric Estime are going to have very, very good performances for the Irish. So I'm going to predict an over on that bet. All right, next one. Will Snoop Dogg make an appearance at the Coliseum?
I can't believe I researched this. I'm ashamed. So Snoop Dogg had some concert dates in Great Britain that were canceled that were around this time. His next concert date is in Los Angeles in early December. So he's hanging around. So I say yes, he comes to the game.
Well, I did not research this. I am proud that you. I guess I'm proud that you researched this. So I'm going to agree with you. I think Notre Dame or USC hasn't had these kinds of games very often in recent memory. So certainly the game at UCLA was a big one, but to be hosting Notre Dame this weekend, I think that's going to bring out a number of celebrities probably from the LA area, and I would imagine Snoop Dogg would be among them. So I'm going to predict he will be there as well.
I hope he's sitting there in a deck chair with Andy right next to him.
Either Andy Samberg or Martha Stewart, one of the two. his two most famous pals. All right, Eric, what is your final score prediction for Notre Dame USC?
I went with Notre Dame 31, USC 30.
All right. I think you've been more accurate in score predictions this season than I have.
Yeah, it's a funny thing we haven't been keeping track of those, but that's all right.
Well, maybe we can add those to the mix. But I have not, so I think maybe that's a good sign for Notre Dame fans. I have USC winning 34-28. I'm just not sure that Notre Dame can score enough to beat USC on Saturday. I think we're somewhat in the similar scoring range, so I think maybe if Notre Dame can get to 30 points, maybe it can win that game, but I'm just not confident enough that it can get there.
They've scored 35 in the last 5 games. Only the second Notre Dame team ever to do that. Put 5 games together, 35 more points. If they did it a 6th time, they're all by themselves.
Yeah, and that seems kind of crazy. Like this doesn't feel like a record-setting Notre Dame offense. The fact that that's a stat is very strange. Like, well, how is that possible? But it is.
Some of it has been the block punts and the defensive.
Absolutely, yeah, the defense. Yeah. But the fact that a Notre Dame team hasn't done that before, besides once in the 40s, is just sort of astonishing.
1943 national champs did it.
So. I don't associate the 1943 national champions with this Notre Dame team, but we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Notre Dame, but I'm just not confident enough to predict that it will happen. So,
well I think the hot dogs in the press box that day are the same ones that. I'm kidding.
Well, all right. Well, we'll have better food this week on Thanksgiving. We're recording this on Wednesday. You'll be seeing this on Friday. So by the time you're seeing this, hopefully everyone has had a nice Thanksgiving meal. We will be back on Monday for our Monday Night Live show to recap the game. We hope you've had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Please subscribe to the Inside ND Sports channel. Make sure you log your predictions on the Insider Lounge if you're a subscriber. And anyone else can certainly share their predictions below in the comments. So hopefully everyone has a great weekend and enjoys all the football that we're going to be blessed with in front of us.